This video is to assist people who are entering the Museum of the Gulf Coast Art and Photography Contest. The topics covered will be mounting your art, preparing your entry for hanging, examples of hangers that do not work or hangers that we prefer that you not use, and last, how to attach your entry form to your entry. Pieces of art painted directly on canvas are of course fine. Placing your art in a purchased frame is great, and of course mats do contribute to the presentation but are not required. We do in fact accept just about anything. This is a very interesting piece. Most of what I'm talking about right now is hangable art. We do also accept three-dimensional art, and of course that is normally put on a table. So anything that is hangable we will accept. About the only exception to that are loose pieces of paper. So what we require in that situation is that you tape it onto a mat. And here's an example of how someone did that. This is commonly used painter's tape. Will come off of art pieces pretty easily if you're careful, and we often see this used when people tape their art to mats or other things. In this example, the person taped their art to a mat, mounted their piece on a mat, and you can see that they used regular masking tape. So the general rule just to keep in mind is we want to be able to hang anything that's entered, and that the only exception is that we don't want loose pieces of paper. The adult entries, we encourage you to not use mats. You can enter it if you want in a mat, but generally that's more for students. The reason we're so concerned about all this, and we're going to get into how it's hung, is because if I can't make sure everything is hung straight, you can see with all of these pieces shown here, it would get unpresentable pretty quickly if I can't keep everything kind of hanging straight. So the most common method is what you're seeing here, which is two eye hooks and hanging wire between the two of those eye hooks. And what this allows me to do is to slide the art piece back and forth to make sure I get a balance so that the piece ultimately hangs straight up and down. If you see two devices such as this on the back of the frame, please hang a wire between them. This is the same mechanism, but it is centered on the back of the frame, and it is wide enough that I can slide the piece back and forth, and I found that it is pretty easy for me to find a balance with this mechanism. So nothing further needs to be done if you see this in the middle of the frame. Similarly, if you've painted your art on a piece of canvas and we have this sort of thing going on the back, I can slide this back and forth and nothing further needs to be done. I can hang it this way. If you have placed your piece of art on a mat, then one method many people use is to take a piece of heavy cardstock or mat board and poke two holes in it and tie a piece of twine onto it. The final step is to tape the mat board to the mat, and in this case this person used packing tape because the art itself is not involved in this final step. Another technique I often see is that people will use a hot glue gun and wire to attach the wire to the back of the piece of art. You may want to look up how to do this on YouTube if you use this method. Similarly, if you see two of these type of hooks, please stretch a wire between the two of them. I also want to mention that hanging wire is not required. Just a regular wire that can be purchased in a hardware store is also acceptable in this case. We will have wire at the front desk if you do not have any or don't want to purchase a whole roll of wire just for one small job. We'll have wire at the front desk when you bring your piece in, and you can use that. All right, if you have a piece of art that has been put on a mat, you can try this. It won't work with a heavy frame, especially one that has a piece of glass on it. But if you have a light piece, you can take a piece of string and tie it in a loop. Place it about that far from the top. And you can use any kind of tape, but the key here is that you need to over tape what you're doing. You can't be sparing with the amount of tape you use. And you want to stretch the string across tight, pretty tight. You don't want to have any kind of looseness in there, because once you hang it, it's going to get a little looser. So you see that's, I'm going to try to raise that up a little bit. So once you get that going, then over tape on the bottom. Because these have to hang for 2 months. And it may hang, you know, initially for a couple of weeks, but then it'll eventually fall down. So you've got to really, really overdo this, especially with this painter's tape. Just really, really be generous with the amount of tape you're using. And I find that this does work. You know, just don't hold back. Kind of the effect right there. Please do not purchase frames that have this mechanism in the center. In other words, only one in the middle. Often they won't fit over the nail heads that I use, and they don't hang properly. This mechanism also does not work. It's not wide enough that I can slide the piece back and forth to get the balance I will need to hang it straight. If you have your wire too loose in the back, it will often hang so low that the nail is exposed and the wire at the top. So please try to have enough tension that this does not happen. Also, please do not purchase frames with these flaps in the back. They make it very difficult to properly hang the piece. If you're entering a piece on canvas, just turn this over and fold your entry form with both pieces filled out and tuck it right here. And then just put a piece of tape like this on it. And it will deal with it. There's no good way to tape something to canvas, so this is what we recommend. For anything else, you can do this on the top or bottom, but please just tape on either the top or the bottom. Over tape, because they do have a tendency to fall off after 2 months. And then just fold it like this. When I receive this, I'll fill out these two things and then I'll cut this. So we have a piece attached to your art. We can't lose who that's for, and we also have your entry that I'll deal with. If you are entering a three-dimensional piece of art or a sculpture, please just fix your entry form to the back or the bottom, or just do the best you can, and we understand and we'll deal with it.